welcome back. We're here, we're watching some more Jujutsu Kaisen, a fight in the bathroom, blood spraying everywhere. And not the outcome that we kind of might have expected. Usually doing something a bit creative. For some reason, Choso clutching his head, having these memories implanted in his brain, having a nice little dinner gathering tea party in the forest with his brothers. But with one slightly surprising guest. Whatever that was about, I'm sure we won't be immediately just be made aware of it, but I think even Sukuna was slightly surprised about that revelation. But hang on, what's happening? Still, since we've got the girls that Keto has saved now looking after Yuji, I mean, they're working for the same goal after all, taking down the brain. This one should be interesting. Well, I think we know who we are going to be focusing on, at least for a little bit. When you have the crows. Back with, what was it, the polio? Smallpox, fucking cursed spirit. The stopping of movement, then large boulders. And then at the end, then it will all be over. Well, good thing we have multiple vaccines and shit for smallpox. At least I think so. I know there are others that were kind of almost eradicated. Okay, this cursed spirit is kind of cool. The fact it is the creating things and then instantly vanishing. There's no animation or anything, just boop, and it's gone. And there you go. I was about to say, can you down to one. Can you use the crows as a distraction? Can it only do one gravestone at a time? It's a risk. I'm sure he would be more than willing to lend a hand, though. Of course. He sees it as more of a honor than a duty. That, and I kind of want to see what this kid can do other than just being the pallbearer. Distracted, she can get in close, render the beast harmless. But how much longer do you have? Can you get him out from underground? Oh, there's no rock, no gravestone. A simple domain. Ah. I mean, they work well as a pair, don't they? When you can trust everything to them like this. And now that it has tasted pain having the arms removed. Was that a crow? That was neat. Murder of crows, indeed. Um, Good thing I had a little viewing hatch so that he could join in the conversation that easily. I wonder if the crow had much of a say in this. Fucking Gojo. And now, she has a lot more than two, but he also has a litany of cursed spirits, curses to use as well. Now we've seen their 1-2 strike, how they can fight in unison. A lot of this is working out your opponent, what can actually accomplish and do, what is its limitations. And then there are others that just bash forward headlong without actually having to, without worrying about any of it. But anyone that uses the crows, you have my attention. More than just some reconnaissance unit, but no. Some. Trying to think of a clever way of saying it. I don't know much more Latin than just Corvus. Kind of like the limitations brought onto yourself by putting rule sets in place. Oh, you've got to bury them underground under a gravestone and then count to 3 for it to take effect. The more bits and pieces, the more limitations and more contracts you put on yourself, the better, stronger it will be. So what do other people have? Yeah, he's just here to complain, drink, relax. Well, is he saying this is a bit above her station? I believe him. Poor Nanami. Really fighting against everything. Was it one that affects your sight? Ah, no, just hiding behind the pillar. The little octopus thing. Capturing things in a pane of glass. Really opens itself up to any sort of attack there if it can't defend itself while being encased. Quite, quite the lunch. And Hanami might not be responding anytime soon. And now it's going to be getting serious, right? Did it just burst free of its own skin? Yes. Yes, it did. Anger, the cause of his evolution, this Cthulhu looking motherfucker. Okay. They are not going to be able to fight back all too well if they're battling against the tides. Damn him making it difficult on the animators. Is this just a conversation on anime and it's I hate framing, well, not frame interpolation, but the upscaling stuff that we've seen. How dare they ruin the artistic merit of it by is he even listening? I mean, he is getting into a true rant, to be fair. Keep it to the old school ways. The tried and tested animation. Is she going to be slightly out of her depth? I mean, if he's just constantly using the window effect, freezing them in a single frame. There has to be a limit somewhere. What is this? Draw of power. Or water. They are such a disappointment. So kind of like what we saw with Bandana Keith protecting himself with water. No wonder they didn't land any spectacular blows on him. All out assault. I like the music to go along with it, but if he can float or hover, that's an excessive amount of water and liquid just floating around him as well. It seems like it might be an interesting battle. Especially since it went from the crying little octopus that we've seen quite often in the, was it endings or openings? One of the two. Now she's seeing it in battle. Huh. So that's if they fail to do so. Huh. That's an, kind of a limited... well, yeah, I mean, that snap there would be a little odd. Probably a limiting ability, but... Limiting ability. But I can see it being fun to try and use, and the fact if he is so hell-bent on the old animation styles. If he can define his own, not only his own, but enemies' movements within a second. Well, there's a direct hit. Was that a mistake? He's about to rip open. Ah. Domain. At least it's a nice little beach. Could be worse. At least there's a little sun. Nice breeze. But with the ocean right there and what we've seen of him, oh dear. Excuse me? Oh, no. He's Aquaman. Well, easy way to avoid it. Just take down everything before it gets to you. Huh. So what about... And none to the woman. He doesn't donate her a threat at all. But Death Swarm. Cut them down. Well, he didn't even get the first one. Yes, she has to focus on herself, really. Maybe he was just waiting. You know, the best comeback is when it seems inevitable. And he's already behind and captured. I mean, she's nothing more than an annoyance to him, really. And if he can appear from anywhere and do all that shit... Don't insult her. Octo bitch. That is to say, if someone is... she got her. He's found a way in. Helping out from under the waves. I mean, appearing from nowhere. Infiltrating a domain like that. And now he's definitely got trouble on his hands, hasn't he? Swapping up the weapons, now going for something slightly different. Is he because he's interfering with the ocean? And while that delicate balance is disrupted, if it's now these two students, even after being eaten, there's no stopping him. Now it's not an instant guaranteed hit. He's a bit angry as well. Now we just got her to... Ooh. I was going to say, just got her to start delivering some blows and causing a bit of trouble, but if you do have the Zenin dude surviving, even with minus some limbs... I mean, he was rather attached to that arm. But how long can Megami hold up with this tug of war? And is that going to be its downfall? That's just the bait and switch? So, what, are we trying to get out? But then, what about himself? Well, as long as they take this option, this chance granted to them. Leapfrog. And he's just realised, but with momentary lapse, the hole is open. There's nothing. As long as nothing comes in, we're fine. Why do I have to say anything? Why do I have to say anything? Fuck! At least it looks like he's having fun. Well, they thought the trouble was in the domain. Truth was, you're just waiting outside. He's not going to be giving back that body anytime soon, is he? Found himself a new lease of life, out here having fun with sorcerers. I wonder if he's going to stop for a seafood lunch first. But now we've seen the... well, not limits, but the style of the octopus. We've got this Sharknado of Piscine attacks. Honestly, with them all now crowded around the hole with him coming through it, this isn't gonna be good for them, but maybe there'll be a thing of like, well, if he wants to fight them fair square first, he's got to get rid of all this bullshit and see. Taking down an octopus, he's It's going to be child's play for him. Then he can have a proper fight. Of course, with the artiste struggling a little, losing one arm. Is it going to be a little choppy animation now? But combining Maki and Nanami, hand-to-hand fighters like this, she definitely had a way to prove herself a little. Wanted to swap out the weapons for something a little more her style in this fight. He definitely shouldn't have shown some leniency earlier on. But the fact that he was going 70% power on the Mustache Man, and he's escaped it with just a severed arm. Well, and he was in there for a minute or so, didn't they say? Jesus. If you didn't have a fear of the sea before, you might do after. But Fishigoro swooping in, a torrent of his own black ocean there, interrupting the scales of things. That was a nice entrance. Breaking in from the outside, unfortunately bringing an unwanted guest with him. Since we now know that pretty much everyone is in trouble, everyone that we've seen in combat so far. Falling off the building, not faring too well. Itadori slumped in a bathroom. What about the others still on the outside? Panda and Mr. Fishrow himself. Those guys. You're going to provide some assistance at some point as well? I really want to see that. With the brother-sister duo taking down Smallpox, once and for all, we can breathe a sigh of relief, as long as there's no Black Death round the corner. I'm expecting that some of the faces that we see throughout all this are actually going to be in mortal peril. Who or when, I'm not sure yet. I just don't think that this interaction here, the beneath the waves, is really one that they're all going to get out of easily. Do you think the animation maestro is now regretting having a drink or two? But maybe a throwaway line, but more talk of the cursed wombs. Him not being this... I've already forgotten his name. Octopus, not being fully fledged, not fully evolved yet. Using his hatred for what they did to Nanami to spur on his growth into this of crafty and horror. How many more of these wombs are there out there? We know there's at least a few that were being made. But these past few episodes, it's pretty much exactly what I would have wanted from Jujutsu Kaisen. You got a neat premise, the fights and ideas that are being brought to the table. I'm just your standard back and forth affair. Previous episode, we had references to things like The Raid and the old martial art movies and the like. Now this one getting to Fear of the Deep. Some of the... I know the techniques and whatnot are kind of built around their wielder. And knowing how to utilize it is really a big part of it. Animation one, freeze frames, 24 frames a second. If they go not directed by how you've stated, then they're locked in that frame. First off, how do you realise how to use an ability like that? And saying he must really like cartoons in order to imagine something on that level. No wonder he was so much averse to upscaling 4K, etc. Yeah, the 60 FPS renderings of anime and OPs and whatnot. No, I can't abide by them. They just look so dirty. Not only the warping effect that is being brought into it, but the timing is all off. The in-betweens that you're putting in there just don't fit half of the time because they're being interpolated. Don't bother. However, if you liked this animation, hopefully there'll be plenty more to come because, well, Jujutsu Kaisen it does seem to try and really pull the boat out. Last episode, it really did something special with it, with the camera movement and the backlighting and the likes. This, we're getting into more what you'd call this done kind of shonen fight scene kind of animation stuffs, but done well. I like it at least, so if you've enjoyed, let me know. If you're worried about what might be to come, then that's the right attitude to take, because how are they getting out of this now when their only way out is now blocked by something much, much worse? I think I might take my chances in the ocean. Leave a like and a comment down below if I've entertained you. Maybe subscribe to the channel to not miss out. There's also links to my Discord if you are interested in that. But for now, give yourselves a bit of rest. We are all going to need it. Kind of hungry though. Fancy a bit of sushi. See you in the next one. If you would like to try and help the channel avoid a trip down to Davy Jones's locker, consider joining onto my Patreon. Help support me from the ravenous fish at his YouTube copyright systems. And with that, I really do need to thank Noku, Sal, Croyville, Diego Zenhausen, Guado, Kite, Raywin, Lightwizard91, Shiwan, Tori Jane, and everyone else. Because without them, I might be sleeping with the fishes.